Hey everybody, it's Dr. Chris Dost. Welcome back to my channel, Biblical Languages and Literature. In this video, we're going to finish up a three-part series, which is really the answer to a question that one of my viewers had posted about the rules for Segholate nouns in Biblical Hebrew and Biblical Aramaic. Before we get started, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to check out my Patreon channel, where all of my videos are available to subscribers in their unabridged forms. All right, let's get started. So we said in the last video that Joan Muraoka's definition of segholates is as follows. Included in this category of inflection are all the nouns with one primitive short vowel, one historically short vowel, one might say, namely the nouns from strong roots or weak roots which have taken an auxiliary vowel, a helping vowel, and this is usually segol, and that auxiliary vowel will fall between the second and third root consonants or radicals. But included in this category also are those which have no auxiliary vowel. So while we often think of segholates as being nouns which have a segol as a helping vowel or auxiliary vowel between root consonants 2 and 3, of the noun, some of them will not have the segol, and some of them won't have a helping vowel or auxiliary vowel at all. Now, we also pointed out that there are different paradigms, different types of segholates, and in this series, we're just looking at types 1 through 3. But at least by presenting this here, you at least know where to go. And if you want me to do more videos on this, just let me know and I'll happily do more. I just don't know how much interest there's going to be in this sort of thing. While I find this stuff fascinating, I'm old enough to know that not everybody finds fascinating the things that I find fascinating. Okay, so the types of segholate nouns that we've looked at contain strong roots with no guttural. Of the QATL pattern, we saw that melech is the paradigm example there. And today we're going to talk about the next type, the QITL type, of which sefer is the paradigm. Now, if you've watched my videos on the Tiberian vowel signs in the Hebrew Bible, both the Hebrew and Aramaic portions, you'll remember that there are three classes of vowels. There's the A class, the I class, and the U class. Now, the A class only has one type. There's the A type. But the I class has both the E type and the I type. And the U class has two types, the O type and the U type. So 3 classes of vowels, but 5 types of vowels. First is kamats, which is the long A-type vowel. Then we have patach, which is the short A-type vowel. Now, if you haven't already, I would encourage you to subscribe to the Aramaic and Hebrew Comprehensive tier. For only $12 a month, you get access to all of my Hebrew videos, all of my Aramaic videos, and any English text-based videos as well, wherein I'm discussing the exposition of the Hebrew Bible, the New Testament, or of theological concepts in general. Your support helps me to continue doing what I'm doing to produce these in-depth videos for you. Thanks so much for considering becoming a paid member today. Then we have patach, which is the short A-type vowel. And finally, chataf patach, which is the reduced A vowel. And these are the A-class A-type vowels. Now in the I class, we first have the E type, and we have tsere, which is the long E vowel. Segol, which is the short E vowel. And finally, chataf segol, which is the reduced E vowel. And these are the E-type vowels, but it's important to remember that E-type vowels belong to the I class. Now, the I class also has I types, and so the long vowel, chirik and chirik yud. Now, the chirik without the yud can represent both a long and a short vowel. That's for another time. We'd have to talk about Plain and Malay spelling. And then we get into the U-class vowels. And there's the O-type, cholam, kamatz katan, chataf kamatz, and then the U-type, shuruk, and kubutz. And then, of course, we have to make mention of the schwa, or shva, depending on how you choose to pronounce that. But what I want to focus on here is the I class. The I class of vowels has the E type and the I type. And this is important when we consider segholates according to the pattern kittel. Sefer has both a long E-type vowel and a short E-type vowel, tsere and segol respectively. But in this case, they both derive from the historically short I vowel. And that's why the pattern is called kittel, Q short I-T-L. So let's see how this all plays out. So the Hebrew form, sefer, which can be scroll, sometimes it's translated as book, even though that's a bit anachronistic. So sefer can mean a scroll. And we see that this form, this segholate, has a long E-type vowel and a short E-type vowel. The segol is the helping vowel, and the tsere derives from the original I vowel between the first two root consonants. In the paradigm, the first two root consonants are represented as Q and T, but in the word sefer, the Q represents samech and the T represents pe. Sefer, scroll, a scroll. So we see the masculine singular absolute form of this word in Deuteronomy 31:24, for example, where we read, Vayhi kechalot Moshe lichtov et divrei haTorah azot al sefer ad tumam. Now it happened when Moses finished, so kechalot Moshe, we have the infinitive construct, chalot, with the prepositional prefix. Now it happened when Moses finished, lichtov, writing we would say in this case, that's another infinitive construct, which here should not be translated with to write as we might expect, or at least as beginner readers of Hebrew might expect, but we're going to translate it as writing. Now it happened when Moses had finished writing et divrei haTorah hazot. We have the definite direct object marker preceding divrei. And so the words of, masculine plural construct, the words of haTorah hazot, the instruction, this, if you want to read it very literally, but we would say the words of this instruction, the words of this law, always hesitant with the translation law, al sefer, on a scroll. Some translations will say in a book, but again, that translation is anachronistic. There were no books at this time, so to speak. On a scroll is a much more reasonable, historically reasonable translation. Ad tumam, to the very end. And so sefer, the masculine singular absolute form, we see it here. The masculine singular construct form is identical to the masculine singular absolute form that we just looked at, sefer, which means scroll of. They are not distinguished in form, they're only distinguished in function. We see the form sefer functioning as a masculine singular construct in Deuteronomy 30:10, where we read, Ki tishma b'kol Adonai Elohecha lishmor mitzvotav v'chukotav haktuva b'sefer haTorah zeh. So ki we're going to translate as when in this case. When you obey, so tishma plus the preposition b, together they generally should be translated as obey. When you obey the voice of the Lord your God, Adonai Elohecha. This is just a beginning to the discussion of segholates. It's probably as far as I'm going to take it unless you write to me and tell me that you want more videos like this. But at the very least, this points you in the right direction so that you know where to find the answers and how to answer such questions. Please be sure to leave your comments below and check out all of my other videos on the Patreon page. See you next time, everybody.